Hello, and a very warm welcome on today's session of facility planning, where we are going to discuss systematic layout planning and thumb rules for space allocation in a hotel. I'm Chavi Sahai, and I work as an assistant professor at AISSMS College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology. The learning objective of today's session are to learn about the systematic layout planning in a hotel project and to learn about the thumb rule of space allocation and specifically to learn about space allocation in four main departments, namely housekeeping, front office, food production, and F&B service. So first, we will understand what is a systematic layout planning, wherein we are still at the design stage where we are designing the hotel project. So we have to decide how are we going to do the layout of the entire hotel. This happens in four phases. The first phase is the determination of location of an area where departments are to be laid out. Generally, the back of the house areas like housekeeping, laundry, etc. are placed in the basement. Lobby has all the front office areas, and the lobby has back office of front office, and then we have sometimes the restaurants and public area, banquet area in the lobby or at the lower level or one above the lobby. So all these things are to be considered while designing the hotel. Secondly, the phase two is establishing the general overall layout, that is, of the entire hotel, starting from the guest rooms to the pantry to the service areas, the service elevators. Then the phase three would be establishing a detailed layout plans, minor things. How are we going to keep the width of the corridor? How are we going to place the swimming pool? How the water inlet is going to be in all the areas? Electricity, where are we going to have the shafts where the drainage system is there? And so on and so forth. And the fourth phase in this would be installing the selected layout, then putting it in implementation. Whatever layout we decide upon, then we implement it. Next, what is the objective of having systematic layout planning? Why should we do that? There are many reasons for it. First is to minimize investment in equipment. We should not buy any unnecessary thing because it will cost us. So if we have a systematic layout planning, we can avoid that. Then we can minimize the production time or the construction time. Actually, the systematic layout planning is not only applicable in hotels, but various other factory, production houses, etc. That's why, in that sense, we can minimize the production time. Then we can also minimize on the material handling cost. How are we going to receive everything? How is it going to go inside the hotel? Where the entries would be made? If all that is considered and well thought out during the designing stage, the future operations become very easy. The fourth objective is to maximize the space utilization. As you know, land is a commodity and it is very expensive. So once we have been allocated the space, we should utilize every inch of it. So we decide upon it during the systematic layout planning. Then it helps us maintain the flexibility of operations. Like I said, where would the receiving in the hotel would be receiving area, where the food production department will be, where the dry goods store would be, where the deep freezer would be. If all that is well laid out, then operations would be easy. And lastly, we should also consider the comfort of the employees who are going to work in the hotel. Moving ahead, this is the flow diagram of systematic layout plan, wherein the first stage is the data inputs. What are we going to do with this layout? That is, in the case of the hotel, we'll be collecting information: how many public areas, how many restaurants, how many banquet halls are going to be there. Then we decide upon all the activities that are going to take place. We make a flow chart of all the activities and correlate it with the material. So we establish a relationship between the activities and the material that is going to be used for it. We make a relationship diagram. Then we come to the space required. Ideally, what should be the space requirement for a restaurant, or say a guest room, or a banquet hall, or housekeeping office, or the chef's office? We prepare the space required, then we match it with the space that is available to us. We may desire, say, 1,000 square feet for a particular area, but the space available to us is not that much. So the available space and the needed space is matched, and we make a space relationship diagram. Then, what are the practical limitations or the obstacles while carrying out the operation? Then we have to keep some leverage or some buffer for any modifications that we need to carry out in the future. Then we formulate a layout plan and an alternative plan as well. Then we evaluate both the plans or maybe three plans, and then we select the best that is suitable to us. And lastly, we implement it. So this is the systematic flow diagram for the layout planning. Now there are three fundamentals of layouts. First, the relationship. We decide the degree of closeness that we desire amongst things. Here it means that ideally laundry and housekeeping should be near to each other. Receiving, food production, and the purchase and stores department should be near to each other. These are the things because over the years, with our experience and with the practicality of things that we have seen, this works out to be the best. So first fundamental is relationship. Next is space. The amount of it, the kind of space, the shape and configuration of the space has to be well laid out. Third is the adjustments, wherein the arrangement of all the areas or things has to be realistically best fit. We may desire that the food production department and the receiving and the purchase should be at the same level, but sometimes due to the space constraints it is not possible. So what is the realistically realistic way of going ahead? We follow that. Next, now there are, we discussed the flow chart previously. Now what are the various steps in that systematic layout plan? We have just listed them out. First is to procure the data required for systematic layout planning. Then we analyze that data. Then we design production process, we carry it out. Then we design the material flow pattern. How is the material going to come in and go out? Then we select the design material handling plan. We calculate the requirement of the equipments for that structure. We plan the work areas. We select the material handling equipment. We plan a group of related operations like F&B production and F&B service should be together. Then we design the activity relationship between all the activities and the material. Then next, we calculate the space requirement for carrying out all the operations. Then we plan the service activities. We calculate what is the total space that we require, and then we allocate the activities according to the space. We consider the building type, the hotel that we are building, what style of building would it be. Then we construct a model layout. Then we evaluate, adjust, and check the layout whether it is working out well or not. Then we justify why have we chosen this particular layout. Then lastly, towards the end, we install the layout and we nurture it, or we take care of it, and we make sure that it turns out to be the best. Next, we come to the thumb rules for allocation of space in a hotel. First, we'll discuss what is a thumb rule. It is a general principle or a general rule regarded as roughly correct but it cannot be proven scientifically. I'll give you an example. Like in food production, if you are told that for 10 people, if you're cooking rice, maybe 1.5 kgs is enough. I'm just taking rough figures. It is a thumb rule, but sometimes it cannot be scientifically accurate. If there are 10 people, 1.5 kg is enough. You have to sometimes do modifications to it. So thumb rules are such rules which are generally they hold true but cannot be scientifically accurate. So we'll see the thumb rules which is there for allocation of space in a hotel. First, if it's a food production area that we are discussing, if in this table it shows the column where 100 number of rooms are there in the hotel, and against 200 number of rooms in a hotel, 500 rooms and 1000 rooms. So all the space allocation is according to that. If it's a small hotel, they will probably not have a pantry or a bakery, but in large hotels it would be there. The space allocated to chef's office is roughly same in all the different hotels. Dry food storage area is very small in a small hotel and 1800 square feet. All the areas mentioned here are in square feet. So 1800 square feet in a very large hotel comprising of 1000 rooms. Then again, the refrigerated food space or the food storage is 100 square feet in a small hotel, whereas 1000 square feet in a 1000 room hotel. Similarly, we move ahead to food and beverage service. These are general figures. We've not written about all the areas that is covered in food and beverage service, but a coffee shop, a restaurant, and a bar. So a specialty restaurant may not exist in a 100-room hotel or a 200-room hotel. So the space allocated to them would be zero. But the coffee shop would certainly be there in all types of hotels. The space allocation similarly goes on increasing according to the number of rooms. Then we move ahead to housekeeping department. The linen storage, uniform and supply storage, the area is starting from 100 square feet to 3000 square feet for linen storage in a large hotel, very large hotel. Then space for lost and found, say here, it is not been allocated in a small hotel, but it is there 200 square feet in a very large hotel. Laundry, similarly, the small hotel may not have a laundry because they might outsource it, and a very large hotel would generally have 4000 square feet of laundry space allocated. Moving ahead to front office. The bell desk storage area is not there in a small hotel, whereas a large hotel will have 200 to 300 square feet area allocated to it. The front desk would be 450 square feet in a very large hotel. Then the reservations department, etc., would not be there in a small hotel of 100 rooms, but 250 square feet in a large hotel. So these are some of the thumb rules for space allocation in different size hotels. Architect William B. Tabler has also given a few thumb rules for designing and space allocation. First is that construction cost of the hotel must not exceed rupees 1000 per rupee 1 of average room rate. So for example, if the average room rate is rupees 1000 in your hotel, then the construction cost of a particular room should not exceed rupees 10 lakh. That is considering everything, flooring, lighting, whatever we do in the room. Then second thumb rule given by him says that total area of rooms must at least be equal to all the public area and service area combined, because the rooms generate a lot of revenue. So the space allocated to the rooms, the guest rooms, should be ample. Then the total area of facilities that is there in the hotel must not exceed 6,000 square feet. Hotels should not have more than one employee per room. That is, the total number of rooms should be the total number of staff. But these are his rules. They are not applicable everywhere. It depends on the hotel policy and the kind of service that is being provided. Then the land cost or the amount that we are spending on land must not exceed rupees 10% of the cost of the building. Then rooms contribute to 70% to the profit of the hotel. This is one of his thumb rules. So these are some of the rules given by him. We come to the end. Thank you very much for listening in. Please follow the link given in the description box and attempt the quiz on today's topic. I would like to give credit to the following sites from where I have taken some material for my presentation. Once again, thank you all.